I'm hoping I have sound, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Stand very still. So I love the idea that we've chosen for the whole month, because what we're talking about is becoming who we are. Really, we don't need to become who we are because we already are who we are. It's just that we forget who we are. And so we all get to start out as human beings like this. We don't start out like the little baby chimpanzee that you saw in the previous picture. We all start out like this, right? We're all born into families. Most of us are born into families. Some children are not, actually. They're born into a different situation. Candace works at Orangewood and can tell lots of really unhappy stories about what happens when babies don't have a good holding environment from the very beginning. But most of us have come through families, and our nest of becoming is the family. Mom's probably a real key important person, and so this idea of original wholeness and Mother's Day go really well together. And so I'm going to talk about what it's like to look at our original wholeness from the lens of what gets in the way. Glenda talked about that. These ideas, these beliefs. And so I'm going to start my talk by just telling you that I believe very much in what Eric Butterworth says. I'm going to be reading a few minutes from Eric Butterworth's little book, Celebrate Yourself, and he has many, many books. Great metaphysician. And I believe this is true because our original wholeness is centered in the idea that every single one of us is a unique creative expression, a unique creative enterprise of God. That's what we are. There's no kind of sort of being divine. We're not kind of sort of divine. We are divine. We are that. We are the allness of God expressing in our humanity. And in the process of that, stuff happens. Stuff gets in the way. And we don't always, see, I love this picture. I picked this picture on purpose because you see, I saw lots of darling single babies, but it was important to me to show all the babies, all the colors, all the hairstyles, all the different babies that we get to be. You see, each one of those babies is not kind of sort of divine. Each one of those babies is fully divine in its wholeness. And we just forget that. Did you love that toddler? Seeing that baby? Oh, good. He has one. Good. He has one. A leg. He's whole. I love his fingers. See? We come in whole, and then something happens along the way, and we start forgetting. Stuff starts getting in the way. And it's absolutely true, our childhood, our original experiences, like Glenda said, in that nest of becoming, that holding environment that we're born into has a huge impact on us. We get imprinted at a cellular level when we're tiny, innocent little beings. It's a fact. It's a fact. And Don Miguel Ruiz talks about how we get domesticated, how not only do we get to grow up in a family, but all of a sudden we get to be part of a bigger family, an extended family, and grandparents and aunts and uncles and school systems and then churches and countries, and pretty soon we got all kinds of beliefs and ideas. And this is the deal. We start believing, oh, this is who I am. Oh, this must be who I am. And once we start labeling ourselves as, oh, this is who I am, we start forgetting our original wholeness. Because we start limiting ourselves into that, whatever those perceptions are, that perspective of preference, those limiting beliefs, our judgments, what we like, what we don't like, what we approve of, what we don't approve of. And all of a sudden, when we start out totally free, and oh good, he's got one too, a leg. All of a sudden, we start saying, yeah, but this is who I really am. This is what my world looks like. And we start getting these crystallized beliefs about ourselves, about our families, about life in general. And we start creating this personality. And I love what David Hawkins says about this. He says, our personalities are entertaining, all right. They're comical sometimes, and they can be really unique and novel, but they're not who we are. They're all this is who I am stuff that we start piling onto ourselves, forgetting the truth of our being, which is this original God expression in its wholeness, you see. And so what we've got to do is we've got to figure out a way to shift our this is who I am habits, because those habits usually are reflecting a very small version of who we really are. They're not reflecting the grandness of our original wholeness. We're always whole. We're always already that. We're always already that divine energy that God is expressing uniquely in this lifetime as whatever our journey is about. But this is who I am stuff starts getting in the way, and all of a sudden, this is who I am starts looking about this big as it goes navigating through the world. It's not expressing its radiance, the real I. The real I. The original wholeness beyond that personality and all that stuff that we take on, that we think is who we are, you see. And what it takes for us to be able to do is to allow ourselves to put down the bag of junk that we're carrying around that tells us who I am, that hardened crust of our history, whatever that stuff looks like. Glenda talked a lot about people who carry around some wounds from early childhood, and then maybe when they're 21 years later they come to a place where they're willing to put that down and shift that this is who I am with my mother perspective so that something new blossoms forth, you see. So we've got to be willing to put down that hardened crust of the history that we're carrying around with ourselves about our past experiences, the stuff that's getting in the way. Because for sure, and I know this is true for me, my life is pretty darn quirky. Every day is something new to embrace. Every day, life serves up something new where I get to try in the moment to remember that I am the allness of God expressing. Do I always remember? Oh, of course not. But do I have an intention to try? Oh, yeah. And if I forget, and if I'm not doing a very good job of it, and if I'm going, but this is who I am, I'm the offended one. I'm the angry one. I'm the one who's in deep fear. When I think that's who I am, I got to take a look at it. And I got to be able to shift that so that I remember my wholeness, you see. Because this is the truth. I am and you are pure and complete exactly as you are. You don't have to add anything, and you really don't need to take away anything. See, we all get to come in and have our experiences. Some of them are just downright icky. Some of them show up as certain kinds of illnesses. They show up as very difficult childhood experiences. Many of you have had that. I know that Candace works with children at Orangewood. Those children have come through great trauma. Yes. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life hurts. We all get to come through this stuff, but the truth of the matter is, we're not that. Those are experiences, and we get to thrive through that. And I'm going to tell you what Eric Butterworth says about that because I think it's important. He says, when we really get it that we are the allness of God expressing, we get it that wherever we are, God is. In its entirety, not just a little bit. God doesn't show up in pieces, just a little bit. God shows up in wholeness. So wherever we are, all of God is present within that experience. And he says, you're whole. Now, your life may have many phases. Your experiences may reveal conflicts, but you are whole. There's always that part of you that transcends any experience of illness or lack or inharmony or addiction or whatever else is going on for you. Spirit in you is you. Spirit in you is you. You are whole, whether or not you can see or experience that wholeness. See, that's the thing. We get so stuck with these ideas that are, the miserable sinner ideas, or the ain't it awful ideas, or the victim mentality, or whatever that stuff looks like, or this is who I am, and I like being angry, I like being mad, I like being whatever that thing is. When we're holding on to that stuff, we're getting a benefit from it somehow. There's a payoff, or we let it go. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So the fact is that if I can recognize my holiness within my experience, whatever that thing is, and know that all of God is operating in that thing, then what I have an opportunity to do is recognize within whatever's going on the ordinariness of my everyday experience. Some days my everyday experiences feel extraordinary. Yeah? Yours too? But within whatever that thing is, all my senses alert, everything counts. Everything counts. And we get to embrace it all. And there is a holy perfection in whatever that is that shows up for us. It's there for us to remember the truth of our own divinity. What does it take? Well, for me, may be different for you, but I'll share what it takes for me. It takes time to be holy. It takes an intention to remember my holiness, to remember my wholeness, to remember that all of God is present in every moment. Not just kind of, sort of, but in its entirety. It takes time to be holy. It takes time, and it takes an intention to have full appreciation living. To appreciate the whole, what is it, Zorba the Greek said, the whole catastrophe. Yeah? Some days it looks better than others, and I know that's true for you too. We gotta lighten up. We gotta lighten up. See, there's no excuse for us not to lighten up, because we all have that radiant halo that we are invited to wear all the time. We get to lighten up. We get to live our innocence. We get to laugh, we get to cry, we get to twinkle, we get to joke, we get to be silly, we get to make mistakes. It's all part of the deal. Everything counts. And like this toddler, we get to be awestruck by the mystery of life itself. We get to notice, fingers, good, he's got a leg. We get to notice life on life's terms. All of it, not just pieces of it, but all of it, however it shows up. To return to our life experience with this sense of innocence. I was going to get bubbles today for everybody, and I didn't, because the whole catastrophe struck. But going to get bubbles for everybody, because I think that we are invited to return to that wide-eyed innocence that allows itself to blow bubbles with life, to be fully present with the breath of spirit and just let it go. Be twinkly and breezy with life, you see. Don't take anything for granted. Recognize that it's all God. Live in continual surprise, no matter how it shows up. Oh, what an opportunity this is. Oh, you again. Well, welcome. See? Because the truth is, wherever you are, God is, and whatever that thing is, God's there. And that's a very difficult concept when it hurts, when we don't like it. That's a difficult concept. So here you go, your invitation. Say wow to life, like that little child. Wow, fingers. Wow, a leg. Wow. Say wow to life and recognize not only your own wholeness, but the wholeness of life itself. Shift those, this is who I am, habits. Whatever that looks like for you. Whatever that looks like for you. You know, if you've gone through life feeling unworthy, unlovable, not thin enough, not smart enough, whatever that looks like for you, shift it. Shift it. Claim your wholeness. Claim your wholeness. You don't have to reclaim it, you just have to claim it. It's there. It's always been there. It's already there. You just have to recognize and open up to it. Get rid of that little me perspective. Be your big self. Be your radiant self, your luminous self, the one with the halo. Holy perfection's already there. You're already it. You're not kind of, sort of perfect. You're absolutely perfect, radiant, divine. Celebrate the gift of life and remember, you're okay. You're fine. Stuff's going to happen. And somebody's going to be there to help remind you. That's what spiritual community is about. That's what families are about. That's what friendships are about. That's what Anam Cara, soul friends, are about. Somebody's going to be there to remind you, you're okay. You're fine. Here, let me go get your hat. Yeah? And you know what? Today we're talking about Mother's Day, and I happen to have had a beautiful experience. So I'm not one of those who would like to ban Mother's Day. My kids might, I don't know. But this is the thing. We've all got the precious gift of human birth. And for that alone, the one that gave us that birth, the one that nurtured us, the one that created that holy environment for us, and sometimes it's an institution, like where Candace works, that deserves honor and respect because it's not easy. No, like I love what it said, no mom wants to ruin their kid's life. Moms have a big journey. You know, we get to be moms usually at the time when we don't even know who we are yet. We have no idea. We're growing too. We're becoming too. And all of a sudden we got to become along with all these other little things that are becoming with us, and it's hard. It's a hard job. But the fact that we're alive, that we have the gift of precious human birth, that's enough to celebrate right there and to be thankful, to be grateful. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. So thank you for